All right, let's dive in. Today, we're tackling that big question. How do you turn, like, $20,000 in savings into $1,000 a month passive income?
Ambitious goal, for sure.
Definitely ambitious. But we've got some articles that suggest it's possible. One even uses Warren Buffett as an example, his Coca-Cola investment.
Classic example.
So I've got this article from Medium. It's called Turn $20,000 in Savings into $1,000 a month in passive income. And then there's this CNN article about, well, Warren Buffett's Coca-Cola investment.
Okay, sounds good.
But before we get too deep into it, gotta say, not financial advice here.
Right, of course, just exploring some ideas.
Exactly. Always good to remember that. Okay, so this Medium article mentions something pretty crazy. Buffett bought $1.3 billion of Coca-Cola stock back in 94.
1994, wow.
Yeah. And get this, he's now making $773 million per year just from dividends.
See, that's the power of long-term investing. And dividends, they can really compound over time. You basically own a little piece of the company, so as they profit, you profit.
It's like a money machine, just keeps spitting out cash.
In a way, yeah.
But hold on, the article also says that Coke's dividend growth has slowed down recently.
All right.
Like from 2014 to now, their increases have been between 2 and 6%. But before that, from 2004 to 2014, it was more like 7 to 11%. Huge difference. So does that mean Coke isn't such a hot investment anymore?
Well, it's important to remember that past performance, it doesn't guarantee anything for the future.
Right, makes sense.
Coca-Cola, they're a solid company, no doubt, huge global presence, but their growth has slowed down, and that shows in their dividend growth, too.
So got to look at where a company is headed, not just where it's been.
Exactly. That's how you make smart decisions.
Okay, so if not Coke, then what? Well, this article suggests another company, Diageo.
Diageo, okay.
I wasn't too familiar with them, honestly. But they're behind some huge brands.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Johnny Walker, Crown Royal.
Okay, yeah.
Smirnoff, Guinness. I mean, they're basically a giant in the alcohol industry.
Lots of familiar names there.
Right. The article says they're super adaptable, too. Always adjusting to what people want to drink.
That's important in any business, I guess.
Definitely. But here's the catch. Their dividend yield is at 3.38% right now.
3.38.
Yeah, not bad. But to get those same insane returns that Buffett got with Coke, their dividend would need to grow by 10% every year for the next 30 years.
10% every year.
That's a lot. Seems almost impossible, right?
Well, to figure that out, we got to dig a little deeper. First, we need to understand exactly what dividend yield means.
Okay, well, let's break it down then. What is dividend yield? Why should we care so much about it?
Well, in the simplest terms, it's how much income you're getting from a stock compared to its price.
So like a return on your investment.
Exactly. You divide the annual dividend per share by the current stock price. Higher the yield, the more bang for your buck you're getting, ILM-wise.
So for Diageo, their 3.38% yield, that means for every $100 you invest, you get $3.38 back each year. Okay, not bad.
Mm-hmm.
But can they really hit that 10% growth? That's what I'm wondering.
Well, Diageo's facing some challenges right now, actually.
What kind of challenges?
The economy, for one. Things are a bit shaky overall, and there's talk of U.S. trade tariffs, which could hurt their business.
Oh, yeah. I heard about those tariffs.
These things have actually pushed their stock price down, and when the price goes down, the yield goes up.
Ah, makes sense. It's all connected.
It is. So their current yield might be a bit misleading because of these short-term problems. The big question is, what about the long term? Can they really sustain that kind of dividend growth over time?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question. They seem to have a good track record. They're adaptable, but it's tough to say for sure. What do you think?
Well, to really get into that, we need to talk about some deeper principles of investing, not just looking at the numbers, but understanding what makes a company a good long-term bet.
All right, let's do it. What are these principles then? So these deeper principles, where do we even start? What makes a company a good long-term investment?
Well, you got to think of it like detective work, kind of. You're looking for clues, want to see how healthy the company is financially, what their competition's like, can they handle the future, all that stuff.
Okay, so like with Diageo, their business is basically making and selling booze. That seems pretty solid, right? I mean, people have been drinking alcohol forever.
True, there's always going to be demand. But we got to dig a little deeper.
Deeper? How?
Think about trends. Are people drinking more? Less? What are they drinking? Is Diageo keeping up with those changes? That's what matters.
Ah, so it's not just about the overall market. It's about how the company fits into it. The
Exactly.
article did mention that Diageo is pretty good at, like, acquiring brands, those
Mhm.
popular ones, and changing things up to keep up with, what people want.
Yeah.
They're not just doing traditional spirits anymore. They've got ready-to-drink cocktails, hard seltzers, all that stuff that's gotten super popular lately.
Smart move. Got to stay ahead of the game.
But even if they're adaptable, they got to be making money, right?
Yeah.
What are some of the financial things we should be looking at?
Absolutely. Profitability is huge. I always check things like revenue growth, profit margins, return on equity.
Whoa. Okay, a lot of jargon there. What do those even mean?
Basically, it's all about how well they're using their resources to, actually turn a profit efficiently,
Yeah.
ideally.
Okay, that makes sense. So let's say they're profitable, their business model is solid. What else is important?
Competition. Got to look at who they're up against.
Right, they're rivals.
Exactly. How much of the market do they control? Can they charge higher prices than their competitors? Do people recognize and trust their brand? It's all connected.
So for Diageo, we'd be looking at who? Other big alcohol companies, I guess?
Yep. Pernod Ricard, Brown-Forman, maybe even some of those smaller craft distilleries that are getting popular.
Craft distilleries. Interesting. Okay, so you want to see how the competition is, basically.
Right. Is it a dog-eat-dog market where everyone's undercutting each other? Or are they in a strong position where they can kind of call the shots?
And how does all this connect back to those dividends? We're trying to figure out if Diageo can actually grow their dividend by 10% every year for 30 years. If the competition is fierce, if they're not making enough money, it doesn't seem likely, does it?
You got it. A company can't just pay out dividends if they're not doing well overall. They need that cash flow, not just for dividends, but to reinvest in the business too. Got to keep growing.
So it's a balancing act, huh? Rewarding shareholders with those dividends, but also making sure the company can keep growing in the future.
Exactly. And that brings us to another important idea, the dividend payout ratio.
Dividend payout ratio. Okay. Another one of the financial terms. What's that?
It's basically what percentage of their profits are they paying out as dividends?
Oh, okay. So if it's a high percentage, that means they're giving away most of their profits to shareholders.
Right. Which might seem great at first, but
Yeah.
it could be a problem long term.
A problem?
Well, if they're paying out almost all their profits, they don't have much left to reinvest in the business. New products, marketing, all that stuff that helps them grow.
Ah, that's where the future growth part comes in, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You want a company that's finding that sweet spot, rewarding shareholders with dividends, but also keeping enough to invest and keep growing.
Okay, so we've covered a lot here. Business models, profits, competition, payout ratios.
Yeah.
Is there anything else we should be thinking about when we're looking at these long-term investments?
One more thing, the people in charge. Management quality, it's called.
Oh, right. The folks running the show.
Yep. Are they competent, ethical? Do they care about the shareholders? Do they have a vision for the future? And have they actually achieved things in the past? All important questions.
It's easy to get lost in the numbers, but ultimately it's people making decisions, right?
100%. Look at their track record, how they communicate with shareholders, how they've handled tough times in the past. You want to feel like you can trust them.
Trust is definitely important. Okay, so we've got all these factors to think about. Business model, profitability, competition, payout ratio, management quality.
Yeah.
That's a lot to keep in mind.
It can seem like a lot, yeah. But you don't have to be a Wall Street whiz to figure this stuff out. Start with the basics, do your homework, ask questions.
Okay, that makes sense. So let's bring it back to our listener, the one who wants to make that $1,000 a month in passive income. We've talked about Coca-Cola, Diageo.
Yeah.
Those are dividend stocks. But what else is out there?
Right.
What other ways can people make passive income?
Well, real estate's a big one.
Real estate, yeah. Like buying houses, renting them out.
Exactly. Rental properties, they can bring in steady income. Plus, the value of the property itself can go up over time. That's a nice bonus.
Yeah, you buy a house for $100,000, a few years later it's worth $200,000. Sounds great. But isn't it a lot of work, though, being a landlord?
It can be. Deal with tenants, repairs, all that stuff.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Not exactly passive if you're always fixing leaky toilets.
True, true. But there are ways to make it more hands-off.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
You could hire a property manager. They handle all the day-to-day stuff for you. Or you could look into REITs.
REITs. What are those?
Real estate investment trusts. They're companies that basically own and manage properties that generate income. Apartments, shopping malls, stuff like that.
Okay.
And the cool thing is they trade on the stock market. So you can invest in them just like you would with a regular stock.
Ah, so you get the real estate benefits, but without the hassle of actually owning the property yourself.
Mm.
Pretty neat. What other options are there? Besides real estate and stocks, I mean.
Well, there's the whole online world, digital products, that kind of thing.
Digital products, huh? Yeah. Like what? Selling stuff on Amazon?
Kind of, but more like creating online courses, ebooks, maybe even starting a YouTube channel and getting ad revenue.
I get it. You put in the work up front to create the thing, but then it keeps making money for you over time, even if you're not actively working on it anymore.
That's the idea, yeah. But remember, even passive income usually takes some effort.
Right?
Got to monitor those investments, update your content, stay informed about what's happening in the market. Things change constantly.
Makes sense. So it's not magic money, but it's still a good way to like diversify your income, right?
Exactly. And ideally, you find something that you actually enjoy doing, or at least don't hate doing.
Yeah, if you're going to be spending time on something, it might as well be something you like.
Absolutely. And that's where diversification comes into. You don't got to put all your eggs in one basket, as they say.
Right. Don't bet everything on one horse.
Exactly. You can mix and match different passive income streams, see what works for you, maybe a little bit of dividend stocks, some REITs for real estate exposure, create an online course on something you're passionate about.
I like that. Building up multiple streams of income. So if one thing isn't doing so well, you've got the others to fall back on.
Exactly. It's about building that financial security, having different sources of income.
Okay, it's all coming together now. Understanding dividends, evaluating companies, exploring different income streams, diversifying your portfolio. It's not just about, like, picking a random stock and hoping for the best. Got to be strategic.
Couldn't have said it better myself. The more you learn and apply these principles, the more in control of your finances you'll feel. That's the goal, right?
Definitely. So, if we had to leave our listener with one final thought, what would it be? What's the most important takeaway?
I'd say don't be afraid to experiment. You're going to make mistakes along the way. Everyone does. But the important thing is to keep learning, keep trying new things, and most importantly, take action.
Love it. Action is key. Well, that's about it for today's deep dive into passive income. Hope you found it helpful.
Yeah, me too. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. Remember, it's all about taking control of your financial future, building the life you want. Until next time, happy investing.